One of the things that I find most interesting about insects is how complex their behavior is for such small animals. You know,
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's why I got hooked on bumblebees, because I actually realized that they are among the more kind of intelligent and complicated of insects. And actually, the butterflies and moths that I've been previously kind of fascinated by are pretty stupid in comparison. Their lives are very simple and their behaviors are, relatively speaking, simple. Whereas bees have these really complicated, strange social behaviors, and they have, for insects, they've got big brains. They can learn. They can memorize landmarks, they can navigate, they have a lot of really weird, complicated social strategies within their colonies and so on. So there's just a whole kind of world of interesting stuff going on with them.
so if they can learn, can you train them?
Oh yeah, you can train bees to, for example, to respond to particular smells or colors. The most common thing people do is train them to stick their tongue out, which you can associate them to associate a particular smell, for example, with a sugar reward. And they learn it very, very quickly. So then you just have to waft the smell over them and they stick their tongue out in the hope that they're going to get a sugary drink.
So should I think of them as some really complicated automaton, or should I really think of them as being intelligent?
No, there's a tricky one. I mean, yeah, they work on basically kind of simple rules. They probably don't sit down and ponder the meaning of life or whatever. But nonetheless, they can respond to quite complicated rules. They're not one-dimensional kind of creatures. They can exhibit a whole range of responses. And different individuals have different thresholds for responding to certain stimuli and so on. So it's quite complicated to try and understand what's going on. And I guess one of the really fascinating things about bees and other social insects is how, despite being pretty dumb at the end of the day, although intelligent for insects, they manage to cooperate so effectively. And their nests can be enormously successful. Ecologically, social insects are among the most successful organisms on Earth, and probably the most numerous organisms on Earth. But each individual doesn't amount to much, but together, they can achieve amazing things.
Should we think of them as sort of the cells of a larger brain? Like, this is sort of the picture that people paint these days. Is this a good way of thinking about things, or not really?
It can be. I mean, yeah, people talk about an ant nest as a superorganism. And in some senses it is, and in part because of the evolution of sterile castes that can specialize in particular jobs. They don't have to worry about trying to reproduce. Like 99% of organisms on Earth, their number one goal is to pass on their genes to the next generation. But if you're a worker bee, then you don't worry about that. Your job may be looking after the young or going out to forage to gather food or whatever. So they've got division of labor. It's like a human society in many respects. Instead of carpenters and butchers, they have foragers and nurse bees and guard bees and so on.
Escaped Sapiens.